Have you ever felt like you were surrounded by people, but nobody was really being honest, like you were in a room full of masks, and no one dared show their true face? Nietzsche said that human beings are animals who learned how to lie, not only to others, but mainly to themselves. And in a world dominated by appearances, reading people isn't a luxury, it's a matter of survival. Today I am going to reveal to you 21 psychological truths from Nietzsche that will help you read anyone instantly. And I promise you, once you learn to see through these truths, the way you look at people and even yourself will never be the same again. Nietzsche believed that everything we do is driven by one force, the will to power. Not necessarily power to dominate others, but the power to affirm yourself, to impose your will, to feel alive. When you look at people through this lens, you start noticing that no one is neutral. Every gesture, every silence, every kindness often hides an attempt to gain something, even if it is just the validation of feeling superior. It may sound dark, but it is also liberating because it makes you realize you're not crazy when you sense that people aren't saying exactly what they mean. Another truth: people often hate the truth. Nietzsche said humans can't tolerate too much reality. That's why people prefer pretty lies. In practice, this means that when someone gets uncomfortable with your honesty, it doesn't mean you re-wrong it. Just means you re-seeing something they don't want to see. And here is a tip. The best way to read someone is to observe how they react when confronted with an uncomfortable truth. If they get nervous, change the subject, or laugh too loudly, that's a sign you're close to something real. Nietzsche also said that memory is a tool for survival, not for keeping facts. People remember stories in a way that protects their ego. That's why two people can experience the same situation and tell completely different stories. If you want to read someone, pay attention to the parts they omit, the details they exaggerate, and the moments they seem too vague. That's where the truth hides. People love to talk about morality, but Nietzsche believed most moral judgments are just disguised resentments. When someone condemns another person harshly, it often reveals more about their own frustrations than any real concern for justice. Want to read someone? Observe who and what they criticize with passion. It's usually a reflection of a part of themselves they can't accept. Nietzsche said human beings are excellent actors. Society is a stage, and everyone learns to play the character that gains the most approval or power. That's why people seem to change completely depending on where they are or who they're talking to. If you want to read someone, don't get stuck on words. Look at how their personality shifts in different contexts. The real person is usually the sum of all those versions. Another powerful truth: when someone insists too much on how good or virtuous they are, be suspicious. Nietzsche believed that morality can be a mask to hide weakness, fear, or envy. The truly strong don't need to scream their virtues, so the next time someone insists on proving how honest, loyal, or humble they are, look deeper. They're probably hiding something they fear you'll discover. Nietzsche said that suffering shapes character. The people who seem strongest often carry hidden wounds. So when you see someone cold, arrogant, or distant, don't immediately judge them as cruel. Often, they've just built an armor to survive. Understanding this makes you read people with less naivety, but also more compassion. Nietzsche didn't believe in absolute truths. For him, every truth is a perspective. This is crucial for reading people because it makes you realize no one sees the world objectively. Everyone filters reality through their own wounds, desires, and fears. So if someone seems irrational to you, remember they're acting logically from their point of view, even if that view is distorted. Finally, Nietzsche taught that self-knowledge is the ultimate weapon. The more you know yourself, the less manipulable you become. Because the first person you need to learn to read is you. Many people fear discovering what's hidden inside them, but Nietzsche said that true freedom comes when you can look into your own abyss without flinching. And that's the secret to reading others. The clearer you are about your own darkness, the easier it is to recognize it in others. And now, if you believe you can become someone who truly reads people, I want you to leave a comment right now saying I'll become my own master. When I see your comment, it'll make me happy, because I'll know you're serious about transforming your mind and becoming someone impossible to manipulate. Once you've commented, let's keep going. Nietzsche was a genius, but he was also a man full of contradictions. He saw beauty in chaos and believed that our greatest strength often comes from our wounds. And it's exactly in these wounds that we find clues about how to read people. Think about how people talk about their failures or avoid them. Often, what they don't say is more important than what they do. Silence, for Nietzsche, is often more revealing than words. Another insight: Nietzsche said that humans create values to justify their own existence. That's why people cling to beliefs so fiercely. It's not just about being right, It's about proving to themselves that their life has meaning. So when someone is defensive about a belief, even when faced with evidence to the contrary, it's not stupidity, it's survival. Want to read someone? Touch gently on their convictions and watch how they react. The stronger the reaction, the deeper the truth you've touched. And remember, laughter is a weapon and a shield. Nietzsche said, humor reveals who we are. A person who laughs at tragedy might be hiding pain. Someone who jokes about everything might be terrified of vulnerability. Pay attention to what people joke about, what they avoid joking about. That's where real emotions hide. Nietzsche also believed that every relationship has a power dynamic. Friends, partners, colleagues, it's always a subtle dance of influence. The person who seems to give the most is often the one subtly controlling the relationship. Want to read people? Ask yourself, who is really setting the rules here? Who makes decisions without even saying a word? That's the person holding the power. Even in moments of supposed honesty, people are still performing. Nietzsche said confession can be another form of vanity. People sometimes reveal secrets not to be honest but to gain sympathy, admiration, or even power over those who listen. So when someone tells you a painful story, don't automatically think it's pure vulnerability. Sometimes it's a strategy. Nietzsche also warned about pity. He said pity can be disguised to arrogance. When someone feels sorry for you, they're placing themselves above you, even if subtly. So when someone offers you compassion, pay attention if they're really helping or if they're feeding their own sense of superiority. In love, Nietzsche taught that passion blinds us to the other person's true nature. That's why so many people end up in toxic relationships. They're in love not with the person, but with the idea they created of them. If you want to read someone in love, observe how much of their speech is about who the person really is, and how much is about fantasies they project onto them. Nietzsche also said that boredom is an important signal. People who can't stand being alone often fear confronting their own thoughts. So when someone always needs noise, parties, or drama, it's often because silence forces them to face truths they'd rather avoid. Want to read someone? See how comfortable they are with quiet moments. And one of the most powerful truths, people usually fear freedom. Being free means taking responsibility for your own life and choices. That terrifies many people because it's easier to blame fate, parents, or society. Nietzsche said that freedom demands courage, and when you see someone who constantly blames external factors for their failures, you're seeing someone who's still afraid to face their own power. If you're enjoying this video and want to keep exploring how to read people, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. That way you'll stay up to date on everything we're recreating to help you become mentally stronger and more unstoppable in life. Now it's time to show you how to apply all of this in real life. Knowing Nietzsche's 21 psychological truths is useless if you don't put them into practice daily. Let's talk about real situations where you can use these ideas to read people, predict behaviors, and even protect your mind from manipulation. And before we continue, go ahead and hit that like button on this video. That way, YouTube understands this content is valuable and shows it to more people like you who want to become mentally stronger and freer. Think about the next time you're in a tough negotiation, whether at work or closing a deal. Use silence to your advantage. Don't be afraid to stay quiet for a few seconds. The other person will feel uncomfortable and often reveal more than they intended. That's when the truth comes out. Whoever masters silence masters the game. Nietzsche knew this over 100 years ago, and it's still true today. When meeting someone new, observe small details. How they move their hands, where their eyes look, how they react when you bring up delicate topics. Most people think they can hide emotions, but the body reveals everything. A simple practice. Whenever you're talking to someone, think to yourself, what is this person's body telling me that their words aren't? That's the art of reading minds without needing supernatural powers. In romantic relationships, these truths become even more valuable. How many couples live together yet are completely isolated, full of unspoken resentments? If you can spot subtle signs of discomfort or sadness, you can save a relationship or at least avoid more pain. Nietzsche reminds us that almost no one speaks the truth about themselves. Observers see far beyond, even in professional life. Understanding these truths puts you ahead. While others focus only on words, you'll see people's real intentions. Who's trying to manipulate you? Who's testing you? Who's seeking allies or plotting against you? That's how seemingly ordinary people become respected leaders, because they see what no one else sees. And it applies to yourself too. Nietzsche said the biggest challenge isn't understanding others, it's facing your own darkness. If there's something holding you back in life, fear, shame, resentment, don't judge it, just observe. That's the first step to changing anything. When you master yourself, no one else can control you. Ever felt like everyone's pretending, and you're the only one feeling lost? Nietzsche said that, in reality, everyone's pretending. Once you understand that, you stop comparing yourself and start living with more authenticity. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be conscious. Nietzsche's 21 psychological truths aren't just philosophical phrases, they're tools for living better, for avoiding emotional traps, for having more genuine relationships, for understanding why people do what they do, and for not getting swept away by the chaos of the modern world. If Nietzsche taught us anything, it's that truth sets us free, but it also hurts. So be ready to see things that might disturb you, but the reward is immense. Freedom, clarity, and the power to choose your own path. And in this crazy world we live in, that's worth more than gold. And to wrap this up, I want to ask you a favor. If you've watched all the way to the end, comment below with the phrase, "I'm stronger than my shadows." When I see your comment, I'll know you're someone who wants to see beyond appearances and is ready to master your own destiny. And you can be sure I'll leave a heart on your comment, because I know your future will be far greater than you imagine. Thanks for staying with me until the end. And remember, the power to read people lies in the smallest details. Use it wisely and you'll conquer any room you enter. See you in the next video.